There is a drink that activates your body's own fat-burning system and melts the most dangerous fat inside you, not the fat on the surface. The fat buried deep around your liver, your pancreas, your kidneys. It is called visceral fat. It is linked to 14 different cancers, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and dementia. And you could be carrying lethal amounts of it right now without the slightest clue. You could be thin, you could walk every day, you could eat what you believe is a clean diet, and your organs could still be suffocating under this inflammatory fat. A study from Cornell University found that women with elevated visceral fat had 3 times the breast cancer risk of those with low visceral fat. Completely independent of their body weight, thin women with hidden visceral fat faced the same danger as women who were clinically obese. I am Dr. Daniel Ashford. I have spent close to 30 years in clinical metabolic medicine, and in this video I am going to walk you through my own protocol for eliminating visceral fat. We will break down what visceral fat really is, how your body contains a fat-burning mechanism that we can activate today, and the 6 specific strategies that published clinical research has shown destroy visceral fat. Each one is backed by real data, and the number 1 strategy on this list, one extraordinary drink, produced results so striking that researchers had to recheck their measurements. Chaco. Women with type 2 diabetes lost nearly 2 inches from their waistline in just 2 months. I am saving that one for last, so make sure you stay until the end, and please hit the subscribe button so you always catch my new videos. Now, let us get into it, starting with number 6. Number 6, lowering your nighttime temperature. This one sounds almost too easy to matter, but the physiology behind it is serious. Your body contains a specialized type of tissue called brown adipose tissue. Most people have only heard of regular storage fat, the white kind that accumulates under your skin and around your organs. Brown fat is fundamentally different. It is densely packed with mitochondria, the tiny engines inside your cells that produce energy. Those mitochondria are loaded with iron, which oxidizes and gives the tissue its dark color. When brown fat switches on, it does not store calories. It burns them. It converts energy directly into heat through a process called thermogenesis. And the primary fuel source it reaches for is visceral fat. Here is the connection to temperature. When your body senses cooler conditions during sleep, it triggers norepinephrine release. That hormone binds to specific receptors on brown fat cells, called beta-3 adrenergic receptors, and essentially turns the ignition key. Brown fat fires up. It starts pulling stored energy from your white fat deposits, especially the visceral ones wrapped around your organs. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health tested this directly. Subjects exposed to mildly cool temperatures for just 2 hours a day saw brown fat activity climb by 45%. Over 6 weeks, participants dropped an average of 5 pounds of visceral fat with 0 dietary changes. The cold did the work. You do not need an ice bath. You do not need to shiver all night. Simply setting your bedroom to around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, cool enough that you reach for a blanket, is sufficient. That mild thermal stress keeps brown fat gently active while you sleep. 8 hours of passive fat elimination every single night, for free. Number 5, Ursolic acid from whole foods. This compound flies under the radar, but it deserves far more attention. Ursolic acid is found naturally in apple peels, rosemary, sage, and certain berries. What makes it remarkable is its dual action. First, it directly stimulates existing brown fat to become more active. Second, and this is the part that fascinates researchers, it helps convert ordinary white fat cells into something called beige fat. Beige fat is white fat that has been reprogrammed. It develops new mitochondria and starts behaving like brown fat, burning energy instead of hoarding it. A study published in the journal PLOS One demonstrated that ursolic acid increased brown fat mass and improved glucose tolerance in subjects with metabolic dysfunction. Eating 2 apples daily with the skin intact delivers a meaningful dose. Cooking with fresh rosemary and sage adds more. These are not exotic supplements. They are kitchen staples that quietly reprogram how your fat tissue operates. Here is an important detail most people miss. The beneficial compounds in apple peel concentrate as the fruit dries. Dried apple rings actually contain higher levels of ursolic acid per gram than fresh apples. So if you enjoy dried fruit, unsweetened apple chips are one of the most efficient sources available. Just make sure the peel is still on. Number 4. Capsaicin from chili peppers. If you have ever bitten into a hot pepper and felt your face flush warm, you have already experienced thermogenesis in real time. That burning sensation comes from capsaicin, a compound that binds to receptors called TRPV1. These are heat-sensing receptors scattered throughout your body. When capsaicin triggers them, your nervous system responds as though your internal temperature has risen. Brown fat activates to regulate it. Energy burns. Visceral fat fuels the fire. Japanese researchers tracked participants who consumed capsaicin, equivalent to roughly 1 medium hot pepper daily. Over 12 weeks, the capsaicin group showed measurably higher resting metabolic rates and significant reductions in abdominal fat, particularly the visceral deposits. The effect was strongest in people who had the most visceral fat to begin with, meaning those at the highest risk benefited the most. You do not need to punish your taste buds. A sprinkle of cayenne in your morning eggs works. Diced jalapenos in a salad works. Chili flakes stirred into soup works. Any pepper that creates even mild warmth on your tongue contains enough capsaicin to nudge the thermogenic pathway open. There is also emerging evidence from the University of Wyoming suggesting capsaicin may help prevent new fat cells from maturing in the first place, essentially slowing visceral fat accumulation at the cellular level while brown fat burns the existing stores. If you are finding this useful so far, please tap the like button. It costs nothing, takes 1 second, and it pushes this information toward other people who genuinely need it. Subscribe if you have not already, so you do not miss what comes next. Number 3, omega-3 rich seafood. This one genuinely surprised the research community because the threshold turned out to be far lower than anyone expected. Investigators in Iceland placed volunteers on a protocol of salmon 3 times weekly for 8 weeks alongside a modest reduction in calories. The salmon group shed up to 15 pounds. But then the researchers ran a parallel arm with cod, a lean fish with roughly 5 times less omega-3 content. Salmon delivers about 1,565 milligrams of omega-3s per 5-ounce serving. Cod offers just 284. The expectation was that cod would barely register. Instead, the cod group lost 10 pounds over the same period, nearly as much as the salmon group. That 284 milligram threshold changed the conversation entirely. It meant almost any seafood, consumed regularly, carries enough omega-3 content to stimulate brown fat and improve the metabolic machinery that governs fat burning. Let me put that dose in practical terms. 4 medium shrimp reach that threshold. 8 oysters reach it. A single forkful of mackerel exceeds it. Half a small piece of halibut covers it. Canned sardines, frozen shrimp, any affordable seafood 3 times a week delivers the signal your brown fat needs. The mechanism goes deeper than just thermogenesis. Omega-3s also improve insulin sensitivity directly. Insulin is the hormone that decides whether your body stores fat or releases it. When your cells respond properly to insulin, your metabolism shifts toward burning. When they resist it, you stay locked in storage mode and visceral fat keeps growing. Regular seafood intake addresses both sides of that equation simultaneously. If seafood is not an option for you, an algae-based omega-3 supplement providing 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily replicates the effects seen in clinical trials. Number 2, compressing your eating window. This is not about eating less food. This is about giving your metabolism the time it needs to switch from storing mode to burning mode. Every time you eat, insulin rises. Insulin tells your cells to absorb and store energy. While insulin is elevated, your body will not touch its fat reserves. There is incoming fuel to deal with. The problem is that most people eat from the moment they open their eyes until they close them at night. 16, 17 hours of continuous eating. Their insulin never drops low enough to unlock fat stores. Visceral fat keeps accumulating because the body never receives the hormonal signal to start burning it. Here is my personal protocol, and it is remarkably simple. I finish my last meal by 8 in the evening. Nothing after that. No snack, no handful of crackers. The kitchen closes. I go to sleep around 11, giving me 3 hours of declining insulin before bed. I sleep roughly 8 hours. That is 8 more hours in burning mode. When I wake at 7, I do not rush to eat. I shower, I move, I handle some tasks. I wait until 8:30 or 9 before my first meal. That adds another hour or 2 of fat mobilization. Total it up. 3 hours before sleep. 8 hours sleeping, 1 to 2 hours after waking. That is 12 to 13 hours where my body is actively pulling energy from stored fat, visceral fat first. My eating window runs roughly 11 hours. I eat normal, satisfying meals during that time. Nothing extreme, nothing punishing. If you want to push further, skip breakfast entirely. Eat your first meal at noon or 1 in the afternoon. Now you have extended the overnight fast to 16 or 17 hours. Published research on this approach, often called time-restricted eating, shows consistent and significant visceral fat reduction over 8 to 12 weeks. Insulin stays suppressed all morning. Your body has no alternative fuel source except its own fat deposits. A landmark trial from the Salk Institute for Biological Studies tracked adults practicing a 10-hour eating window for 12 weeks. Participants lost weight, reduced waist circumference, lowered blood pressure, and improved cholesterol without counting a single calorie. The benefits came primarily from the extended period of low insulin, which allowed the body to access visceral fat stores that had been locked away for years. Even the gentle 12-hour overnight version works. Just stop eating after dinner and delay breakfast slightly. That alone begins shifting your hormonal environment away from storage and toward fat mobilization. And now, number 1. The drink I have been building toward this entire video. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Green tea, specifically the catechins inside it, and most powerfully, a compound called EGCG. This single substance activates brown fat through not 1, not 2, but 3 distinct pathways simultaneously. No other food or beverage in the published literature hits all 3 at once. First, EGCG directly stimulates the beta-3 adrenergic receptors on brown fat cells, the same receptors that cold temperature triggers. Second, it ramps up production of uncoupling protein 1, known as UCP1, inside the mitochondria. UCP1 is the molecular switch that tells mitochondria to release energy as heat rather than storing it as chemical fuel. When UCP1 activates, your cells literally convert fat into warmth. That is thermogenesis at the cellular level. Third, EGCG blocks an enzyme called COMT. COMT normally breaks down norepinephrine, the same adrenaline hormone that activates brown fat. By blocking COMT, EGCG keeps norepinephrine circulating longer, which means brown fat stays fired up for an extended period after every single cup you drink. This is why green tea is not just another health fad. It is a triple-action visceral fat elimination tool sitting in a teacup. Researchers at Maastricht University in the Netherlands gave participants 3 cups of green tea daily for 8 weeks. These were women aged 30 to 60, and all carrying moderate excess weight. By the end of the trial, the green tea group lost close to 1 full inch from their waist circumference compared to controls. Waist circumference is the single most reliable external indicator of visceral fat. When that number drops, visceral fat is disappearing. The same group showed improved fasting glucose, lower blood pressure, and better cholesterol markers, all consequences of reduced visceral fat and improved metabolic function. A separate trial conducted at Tehran University of Medical Sciences enrolled 63 adults aged 35 to 65 with established type 2 diabetes. They consumed 4 cups of green tea daily for 2 months. The results were striking. Participants lost roughly 2 inches from their waistline, 2 full inches in people whose metabolism was already severely compromised by disease. That tells you how potent this mechanism is. It works even when the metabolic system is damaged. The effective dose is 2 to 4 cups daily, consumed consistently, not occasionally, not when you remember, every single day. If you want maximum potency, switch to matcha. Matcha is the entire tea leaf ground to a fine powder. When you drink it, you consume every compound the leaf contains, not just what dissolves in hot water. 1 cup of matcha delivers roughly the catechin load of 10 cups of standard green tea. 1 cup. That is an extraordinary concentration of the exact molecules that activate brown fat and dismantle visceral fat. There are also options beyond green tea. Oolong tea, which is partially oxidized, retains significant catechin content. Pu ERHT, a fermented variety from China's Yunnan province, combines catechins with beneficial bacteria from its unique aging process. Clinical data shows PUARH reduces waist circumference at rates comparable to green tea. with the added benefit of supporting gut microbial diversity, a factor increasingly linked to metabolic health and fat regulation. Now, I need to address something critical before you go. Do not trust the scale to tell you whether this is working. Your scale weighs everything at once: bones, water, muscle, organs, and fat. It cannot distinguish between visceral fat you are losing and lean tissue you may be gaining. You could eliminate 8 pounds of dangerous organ fat and add 4 pounds of muscle. The scale reads a 4-pound loss. The real transformation is invisible to it. Use a tape measure instead. Wrap it around your waist at navel height. Breathe normally. Do not pull your stomach in. Write the number down. Repeat every 2 weeks. If that measurement is shrinking, you are losing visceral fat. Period. The studies I mentioned tracked waist circumference for exactly this reason. A 1-inch reduction represents meaningful visceral fat elimination. 2 inches is a major metabolic shift. If you want precise data, consider a DEXA scan. Many medical centers offer them for under $100. It shows exactly how much visceral fat you carry, your muscle mass, bone density, everything. Get a baseline now, follow these strategies for 3 months, then scan again. Watching those numbers collapse is deeply motivating. Let me be direct about one more thing. If you already have fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, or high blood pressure, none of that disqualifies you. The research I cited today included participants with established metabolic disease. Their bodies still responded. Visceral fat is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. When you change the inputs, breakdown starts outpacing accumulation. Over weeks and months, the deposits shrink. Liver enzymes normalize. Blood sugar stabilizes. Medications get reduced. I have watched this happen in patients well into their 70s. Give this protocol 1 month and measure your waist. Give it 3 months and the changes become obvious. 6 months transforms your metabolic profile. 1 year gives you a fundamentally different relationship with disease risk. So remember, counting calories and running on a treadmill was never going to solve this. Your body after 60 needs targeted activation of the systems that actually dismantle visceral fat. Green tea does that, seafood does that, timed eating does that, even the temperature of your bedroom does that. You do not have to do all 6 at once. Start with the drink. 1 cup of matcha or 3 cups of green tea every morning starting tomorrow. Which of these 6 strategies are you starting with today? And what has been your biggest obstacle when it comes to losing stubborn abdominal weight? Tell us in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else scrolling through needs to hear right now. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, move a little, eat with intention, and I will see you in the next one. Stay healthy.